Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, and let's go ahead and get started here. I really, every day that I come in and review the day before, I just get excited, and it's been like this for years now, just being blown away by the price action and how well it reacts off of these levels. So, just want to quickly review yesterday. We'll go down to the 10-minute here. And remember when we came into the market, where were we? We were like right around, I believe, right around, oh, that's 8:30. We were sitting here right off of the back end of our major zone here. Remember, we had 44.74, we had 44.77. This was highlighted. I went ahead and deleted that because we have some other stuff for this morning. But we had this whole region highlighted and came up in the overnight, trying to play around. And then coming into the open yesterday, we just broke right through, pulled back. Look at where the market pulled back to, right to 74.50. And then it was this great bullish push all the way up to basically the lunch hour there. So I want to show you real quickly what we did in the room because I'm proud of how well things worked out here. So let's take a look and go back. So we came into the open, and before we could get through 74 to 77 here, I told everybody there was a lot of under the hood stuff telling me we were probably going to be breaking to the upside, but we really needed confirmation that the bulls were going to be strong. The confirmation was going to be that break above 77 there. And again, this whole area was basically highlighted yesterday morning. So that was kind of our first contention zone, and we needed to see that break, or I needed to see that break in order to really get on the buy side. And I think I called right at the open. When we opened here, I said, we've got kind of a little potential trade that you could take right here off of the, let me get my arrow here, right off the EMA. I believe we opened and pushed and then pulled back. And I told you, if you wanted to be super aggressive and you had a little more faith that we were going to break out, you could just go ahead and buy that. And had you have done that, I mean, that was it. And we never came back to that level, and the market just started ripping. So once we got up above my line in the sand, that's when I started giving calls to try some long. So there was a call here, and we took profit right at the KP because there was an expectation for that to hold. Then when we came down into our support zone again, 74.50, hello, we went ahead and got another long, and then as things continued to chug, we got long off the CP here. I tried a quick little short because it looked like we were going to get a deeper pullback, but nothing really happened there. And then we went ahead and got more buy side again, got a couple more buys in, and that was basically our whole morning. So tried to ride the puppy up as best as we could. And just looking at what ended up happening here, we kind of ended up going sideways. And the coolest thing is that we came up, and our first expected resistance zone above us, remember we came in yesterday and we said we had 74 to 77, but once we get through that, our first expected resistance zone was going to be 45.11 to 45.15.50. Well, what was the high of yesterday? 14.75. What did we do in the overnight session here? Come up to 45.13, a line that we've had on the chart for what? Since the new contract dropped a week or two ago, and came up and basically hit the back end of it all night and could not get through. And we've pulled back, and in the pre-market I went through and I started highlighting this little area here. It's kind of wide and there are specific levels within it. 72.50, 74.50, and that 77 level. And then I think 77.50, the dotted line, is a swing high that we marked a little bit further back. So this zone was our first support coming into the open this morning. And so I was able to actually jump in and get long right off of that 77 level for this push up. I just scalped it for a few points right to the back of the 34. But again, I just can't believe that our next expected resistance zone and our eye level came up. We basically held it, broke the eye level with less than 2 points, and then held it all through the overnight session here. Just unbelievable magic. And now here we go. Now we're bouncing off our first expected support zone. I probably could have left a few more runners on there in case we do get a larger bounce. So that's where we are this morning. We're finding support right off of the first expected support zone. And I'm going to go ahead and jump up. We don't really have much to talk about because it's all the same support and resistance levels as the last few days. But we'll just go ahead and look. The higher time frames don't have anything new to add to the picture. The weekly, I will say, just like on the daily, remember we've been saying there's kind of a bearish divergence compared to the major swing highs back here. You can definitely see it. On the weekly here, what I'm noticing is we actually have also a potential bearish divergence because the RVI has not come up to break this 48.5 area on RVI, but price has broken much higher. So we do have, again, something I'm watching. It's not necessarily an actionable trade, but I'm watching to see if the daily here and the weekly start to really print and show a bearish signal. This might be it for the push. And look where we are, 45.13. What is 45.13? Where did we get 45.13 from? Why did the market come up and go right to 45.13 in the overnight session here and smack into it and could not get through? What was in the market there that it was interacting with? Well, it was the major swing low that I've been talking about here for like 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 weeks now. 45.13 is this major swing low, the low from December 20th of 2021. And I told you that even though we have so many levels close together, it would not be surprising to see us come right into the 13 and find resistance and maybe even then come up and come right to the 61.8 at 45.31 and fail. So just kind of interesting to note that there we are. There's a reason I mark these major swing highs and swing lows, and that's because we see this shit happen day in and day out. So looking above this morning from this higher time frame perspective, if we get through the 61.8 at 45.31 here, there's this zone that we've been talking about at about 45.70 to 45.80. This is that major double top that we talked about coming up into the previous resistance, that previous major swing low here. We got a bunch of bearish signals and then failed. And this was that we did an actual study session on the short that I took when the market came up and failed and made this double top. So there's actually like an hour or 2 hour long study session where we go over what we were seeing in the market back here, what was setting up, and then how we actionably took it short. So anyway, major resistance zone there. That is what I'm looking at, is 70 to 80. If the bulls continue to chug, then we're looking at this little zone here. Just about this major swing low is again 45.9875, and then we have just around 4600 even. So those are the levels we're looking at in the most immediate short term here. And then on the pullbacks, it's again all the same levels I have marked. So for the pullback, we're going to have to jump into the shorter time frames, get into our intraday time frame. Here is our 4-hour chart. Again, beautiful little hold off of that 13 area, coming down and are bouncing right now off the basically the 50% retrace of yesterday's price action, right? That magenta line being 50% of the previous day. Again, 77.50 swing high coming across there is exactly where we're finding support. There are some minor levels in here that we need to go through that we're not going to see on the 4-hour perspective. So we'll go over this little range here between 50% of the previous day and the previous daily low in just a few moments. But what I want to do is just look at the bigger stuff going on. And basically, it's all the same stuff from yesterday and the day before, I think. So if you just dial back to those other pre-markets, you're going to see all the same stuff. We've got this major swing high around 44.11. Again, going down into 44.0650, which is this swing high back here, or 0675. That is the next support zone if we break through the previous daily low. A little bit deeper than that, it's going to bring us right back to this 43.95 area. And if that doesn't hold, It's a nice open shot down to that major swing around 43.67. And keep in mind that it is a little bit of a range here from about 62 to 67 there as the next zone of potential support. A little bit deeper, we're right into 43.50. That's a major level that you should be aware of. And then bam, right down into 43.27 to 43.20. So just keep in mind those zones. I don't think they've changed since yesterday. And one thing that we didn't do yesterday is consider the pullback now because it looks like we are getting an appreciable retracement at the moment. Oh, and look at that. The 38 is exactly our 67 swing high. The 50% is basically exactly this major swing high around 25.50. Again, 25 down into that 20 area. And then the 61.8 is kind of sitting out here somewhat naked, although we do have a major swing right in here on the 4 hour that might look a little bit more. Let me see. What was the level there? Around the 60, 42.76.75. Yeah, I mean, on these higher time frames, I don't see anything there, but there was obviously a turn and a pullback from that level at some point back on March 16th. But 61 is sitting there. So for whatever it's worth, almost every retracement is lining up with important price action. So I probably don't even need that drawn on the chart because I already have most of these levels already on there. But I will leave it up in case we do start to correct a little bit deeper. If this is just a little minor pullback, just kind of like right here in the chart, right here in the chart, or right here in the chart, we're just going to do these minor pullback and continue going. And in that case, I'll have to redraw the leg for this entire push. So again, this might just be a little fake out and they're going to continue going. So let's go down into the shorter time frames. I said I want to scrutinize this little area in here. So in order to do that, I want to go over to my 30-minute chart. So in the most immediate area here, we have two legs. We have the previous daily low to the previous daily high. And we also have the previous, well, how can I put it here? If you just zoom out, the obvious leg to me is this swing low from the day before yesterday all the way up to the high we just made. That's the leg that really sticks out to me. And the 38 retracement is again right where we bounced, right where I got long this morning. The 50% is right into our next shaded area here that lines up with a major resistance point from yesterday or the day before that. And then the 61.8 is right into our 44.52 zone, which again has been worked quite a charm for the last few weeks. But then the smaller leg is the previous daily low to the previous daily high. And as you can see, they basically line up almost perfectly with the other retracements. So we have kind of a good ratio going on right here. And so this first leg, I don't think we even need to look at anymore because we've already hit right through the 38 and the 50 and the 61 already agree with other things that we have on the chart there. So just wanted to show you in the smaller time or the shorter the most immediate area of the chart, I should say, this is what we're looking at. The 77, which again was this right here where I got long just before I started the broadcast this morning. And then we have the 50% retrace, which is this major swing high back here, right around, let's say, 44.64 to about 66.50. So in the most immediate area here, we're basically testing this zone now. So I'm looking at somewhere around 66.50 to 64-ish. And then if that breaks, I really think that opens us up right back into this 44.52 area. Any further, we're going to be testing the previous daily low and then coming right into our next expected support zone, which is going to be our minor eye level around 44.11 down into that 06.50 swing high. And then then we're right to 97 and right into 90. So that's what we have in the most immediate area here for a pullback. And I think that's basically it coming into the open. Um, there are, let's see, there are still a lot of other levels to consider, but because they're so far away, I don't expect you to remember all this stuff, right? So just be aware of the most immediate, say, 100 points to the downside and 100 points to the upside. So have a great day. Tomorrow, I don't expect to be here because I will be out pretty late tonight. So probably see everyone on Friday, unless there's some freak thing and I do show up here tomorrow morning, but don't count on it. So have a great day to those watching out on the internet.